Hello my dear students and welcome to Zenith Academy Online. Yes, you must have noted that we have changed our name from Zenith Tutorials to Zenith Academy Online, and also there is a change in logo. So do remember this name and logo and keep your learning on. My name is Shagufta Jaipuri and today I'll be teaching you part 2 of the circulatory system. So in our last video I have taught you part 1 of the circulatory system, and today we are doing part 2 of the circulatory system, that is red blood cells. This is a part of ICSE class 10 curriculum. So in part 1 students, we studied the need for transportation inside the body, why there is a need for transport in the body, the different types of fluids in our body, the blood. We studied also in detail the functions of blood, composition of blood and different cellular elements. Children, we already did that blood is composed of plasma, white blood cells and platelets and red blood cells. So we studied these components in brief. So today I'll be talking about red blood cells, and in our coming lectures we'll be talking about white blood cells and platelets. So welcome you all to part 2 of the circulatory system, that is red blood cells. Now children, red blood cells are also known as erythrocytes, where erythros means red. So that is why, since it is red blood cells, so erythrocytes. Now can you see this structure? This is a red blood cell. It is biconcave disc-like structure. You can see that it is thick at the periphery and thin at the center. So children, if you see the diameter of this red blood cells, it is around 7.5 or 7 micron or micrometer. And if you see the side view, then the width you can see is around 2.5 micron. So the diameter is about 7 micron and 1 micron is 1,000th of an mm. So you can imagine how small an RBC is. Now all of us know that hemoglobin in the RBC captures oxygen from the lungs and it combines, forms oxyhemoglobin and release wherever it is required. So it needs a very large surface area to absorb this oxygen. So what are the properties that make it very efficient for absorbing oxygen? Its small size plus the concavities on the either side. Both of these factors of RBC provides it a very large surface area, which makes it very efficient in absorbing oxygen. That is why RBC can absorb a lot of oxygen, because its surface area is large. Why its surface area is large? Because of its small size and concavities on either side. Now let's go ahead. Now you can see these RBCs pushing each other in a small capillary the way we do in a crowded lane. So the small size enables the red blood cells to travel through a very fine capillaries in the body where they have to travel in a single file. The RBCs need to travel in very narrow capillaries, therefore their small size enables them to do so. Now an adult human male has about 5 million RBCs per cubic mm. So in 1 millimeter cube of blood, there are 5 million RBCs in a human male, and female has about 4.5 million. So they have a slightly less RBCs than do male. Now here you can see a hemoglobin molecule. So a hemoglobin molecule is present in an RBC. It is made up of two parts. Here RBC have a colorless spongy body or stroma, which contains a respiratory pigment called hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is shown by the symbol HB, where H is capital and B is small. So this hemoglobin is present in RBC and it is a respiratory pigment, and it is formed of an iron containing part and a protein containing part. So the iron containing part is called hemin and the protein containing part is called globin. Now children, you know that the hemoglobin in the RBC, when they take oxygen from the lungs, it combines with the oxygen to form a compound oxyhemoglobin. Now this oxyhemoglobin is very unstable. That is why it easily breaks up and gives up oxygen in whichever tissue it is required. So it has the ability to combine readily with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin, an unstable compound which readily gives up oxygen to the needy tissues. Now children, it is very interesting to note that hemoglobin can carry a very small quantity of carbon dioxide also in the form of carbaminohemoglobin. Now we will see here that oxygen combines with hemoglobin in the lungs and form oxyhemoglobin, and this oxyhemoglobin again breaks up in the tissues to give up again oxygen. Now here you can see that hemoglobin also combines with carbon dioxide and form carbaminohemoglobin. Now children, a question arises in many of the young kids' minds that is it that veins carry only carbon dioxide and no oxygen? No, my dear children, veins also carry oxygen. So veins do carry oxygen, but only a little less than the arteries. So if arteries is carrying around 97 to 99%, then veins must be carrying around 75% of oxygen. Now, inside the lungs, the hemoglobin becomes 97.99% saturated with oxygen. Now, inside the respiring tissues, hemoglobin releases only about 23% of the oxygen. So, it is giving only 23% of the oxygen, and 75% again comes back in veins. So, veins also carry oxygen, which is around 75%. Now, what is carbon monoxide poisoning? This is very important, children. See, carboxyhemoglobin or carboxyhemoglobin, both of them differ by only A, and if you see their formulas here, carbon monoxide comes ahead of hemoglobin and here hemoglobin is ahead of carbon monoxide. So both of them mean the same. So it is a stable complex of carbon monoxide and hemoglobin that forms in red blood cells upon contact with carbon monoxide. So whenever our hemoglobin comes in contact with carbon monoxide, it forms a very stable compound which is known as carboxyhemoglobin, and this causes carbon monoxide poisoning. Now let me tell you, this carbon monoxide forms the bond with hemoglobin more readily than oxygen. So suppose if there is oxygen and little trace of carbon monoxide also present in the air that we are breathing, so hemoglobin will combine with whom? It will combine more readily with carbon monoxide and it will form carboxyhemoglobin, and hence the hemoglobin will become saturated and it will not be available for combining with oxygen. So there will be oxygen deficiency in our body, and this is called carbon monoxide poisoning. So let us revise. Exposure to a small concentration of carbon monoxide hinders the availability of hemoglobin to deliver oxygen to the body, because carboxyhemoglobin forms more readily than does oxyhemoglobin, right? So oxyhemoglobin is formed later, whereas carboxyhemoglobin is formed first. Okay, so carboxyhemoglobin is formed in carbon monoxide poisoning and it leads to oxygen deficiency in the body. Now what are the sources of this carbon monoxide? It can be exhaust such as from a car, truck, boat or generator. It can also be smoke from a fire or tobacco smoke. Now let's learn about carbon monoxide from a pictorial diagram. Now here you can see the tobacco smoke, the exhaust of cars and automobiles and burning of fuel releases carbon monoxide. Now this carbon monoxide is a tasteless, colorless and odorless gas. It is a silent killer. So when our lungs take in this carbon monoxide, it reaches our alveolus. There it comes in contact with the blood. Now here in the RBC of the blood, you can see that carbon monoxide is also there and oxygen is also there. So hemoglobin prefers to form compound with carbon monoxide. So it has formed carbon monoxide and hemoglobin has formed a complex, and therefore it is blocking oxygen. Okay. Also in the mitochondria, we know that mitochondria is the site of cellular respiration. Here also when carbon monoxide is there, it will combine here, but oxygen will be blocked. This leads to carbon monoxide poisoning. It also causes anemic hypoxia. Now children, let us learn about the life and death of RBC, that is the life cycle of RBC. See children, this red blood cells or the erythrocytes are formed in the bone marrow of long bones. The long bones, especially ribs, breast bones and the ileum of hip girdle. So in these long bones, the bone marrow is there, and in that bone marrow red blood cells are formed. Now they remain in the blood for around 120 days, after which they are destroyed by a process known as phagocytosis. We will read about phagocytosis in our next lecture, where we will study about WBC. So in WBC we will study in detail about phagocytosis. Right now you remember that RBCs are formed in the bone marrow of long bones. It remains there for 120 days. Then they are destroyed in spleen, liver and bone marrow. There it breaks down. Now this breaks down into two parts. Hemoglobin breaks into two parts, you know, heme part and globin part. So heme part, that is iron. So iron is retained in the liver and it is transported back to the bone marrow. Okay. Now the bilirubin is excreted through gallbladder and the globin is used in making amino acids. So human red blood cells are produced in marrow of long bones. I already told you, especially in the ribs, breastbone and ileum of hip girdle. Now in an embryo they are produced in liver and spleen. Now before the fetus stage, when the baby is still not developed the bones, still they need red blood cells. So where are these red blood cells formed? They are formed in liver and spleen. Now in children around until 5 years of age, this RBC are not only formed in the bone marrow of long bones, but they are formed in all the bones of their body. The mature RBC have no nucleus. So when they are being produced, in your bone marrow, then they have one. But as they mature, the nuclei are lost. That is, they become enucleated. Enucleated means without a nucleus. The average lifespan of an RBC is 120 days. I already told you. Now, the old and weak red cells are destroyed where? I told you spleen, liver and bone marrow. And their iron part is retained in the liver, iron part remains in the liver and it is again used, while the rest is excreted as a bile pigment known as bilirubin. Now, in a normal adult like we, approx 20 million RBCs are destroyed every single minute. That is 1% of the total erythrocytes, 1% of the total RBC are destroyed every single day. Now let us read about interesting facts of RBC. A mature mammalian RBC lacks three things. It lacks nucleus, it lacks mitochondria as well as endoplasmic reticulum. So they are deficient because they do not have these three things, but still it is more efficient. How? Although deficient of the above organelles, the mature RBC are more efficient in carrying out the task of picking up and delivering oxygen. Now let us see how. First we will talk about the loss of nucleus, that how loss of nucleus helps it to become more efficient. Now here you can see that as the RBC is formed, it had a nucleus, and as it matures the nucleus ejects, and you can see here the biconcave RBC which we have studied earlier. Now so the loss of nucleus makes the red cells biconcave, as we know how the shape is. Thus, it increases their surface area volume ratio for absorbing more oxygen. Now, here I will show you that surface area upon volume. So, if this ratio is higher, then the absorbing capacity is more. So, if I increase the numerator, that is, if I increase the surface area, what will happen? This whole ratio's value will increase. So here, by making it biconcave, by removing the nucleus, the surface area increases and hence its absorbing capacity also increases. Now also when you remove the nucleus, the space in between two RBCs increase and hence more RBCs can be accommodated in the same space. Now let us see how the loss of mitochondria helps. Now the mitochondria uses oxygen as well as broken down glucose. Okay. Okay. So when the mitochondria is not there, it means the red cells cannot use oxygen for themselves, because now there will be no cellular respiration as there is no mitochondria, so it will not use oxygen. So thus all the oxygen absorbed from the lungs is transported and delivered to the tissues unconsumed. It means RBC will not use oxygen for itself now. Now secondly, the loss of mitochondria means full transport of glucose in the blood plasma unused by the RBC. We knew that mitochondria uses glucose. So now since there is no glucose, so glucose is also transported unconsumed. Now you can see that your RBC does not have a structure like endoplasmic reticulum. That is why it becomes more flexible. So it means increased flexibility of RBC for their movement through the narrow capillaries. Now the RBCs can move through the narrow capillaries, can squeeze in through the narrow capillaries, because they are more flexible and compressible as there is no endoplasmic reticulum present inside. So now let us read more about the number of RBCs. See, newborn infants have larger number of RBCs, about 6 to 7 million per millimeter cube. We adults have how much? 4.5 to 5 million, whereas the newborn babies, that is the newborn infants, have 6 to 7 million per millimeter cube. Also the RBC count is higher during any of the physical exercises, during pregnancy, and also during emotional upsets. So during these three conditions, the RBC count is always higher. Now you will be amazed to know that RBC count is lower by 5% when you are sleeping. The people living at height of around 4,200 meter and above, their RBC has a noted increase of 30%. To allow more oxygen absorption. You know that at higher heights the oxygen is low because the air is thinner. So if their number of RBC is more, they can take in more oxygen. Now let us study about the diseases. So abnormally increased number of RBC, if there is an abnormal increase in the number of RBCs, then a disease known as polycythemia occurs. See, there is a abnormal increase in number of RBCs. So the disease polycythemia, here you can see the hands and feet are swollen and with red patches. So this is polycythemia. Then an abnormally decreased number is known as erythropenia. So there is very less number of RBCs in our blood. So this disease is known as erythropenia. So this was all about RBCs. I hope you enjoyed learning red blood cells with me. In our next video lecture, we will be covering WBC, that is white blood cells, and blood platelets. And in the coming lectures, we will completing the whole circulatory system chapter for ICSE class 10. So keep on following us. If you have still not subscribed to our channel, do it right away. Tap on the bell icon to receive all the notifications. And please in the comment box, give your precious comments. Thank you and keep on learning at Zenith Academy Online.